Thanks for joining, everyone. We're going live with a review of Fans Toys' first figure from their Devastator Constructicon line. This is their FT32A Gehry, which I guess is named after Frank Gehry. I kind of had to look it up, who's a famous architect. Hey, Monster, how's it going? So box art, again, from one of our very favorite IO Studio Labs, IO Lab Studios, IO Studio Lab. You can check them out on Facebook. You can see the nice alt mode. It actually looks a little bit different from my eyes, a little bit more like line arty, like hand drawn than I'm used to. I feel like this looks a little bit more hand drawn than I'm used to seeing from him, but maybe I'm just making things up. There are video instructions if you guys checked out the Facebook Fans Toys official channel. They're pretty good. There are some things that make no sense. And I'm definitely doing things a little bit differently because I think there are a couple of steps that'll be a little bit easier if you follow it my way. So they do have the nice bio on the back, and as well as not actual product images. That I don't think this looks like a render, and then the rest look like product images. But yeah, he does have a nice long bio. I never read those. I wonder, I mean, they could really slip anything into that and I would never know. But as usual, nice big box. Here is the packaging, and he comes with, as usual, a set of instructions. One thing I did note that they messed up on was they called the combiner part or accessory a trumpet, just like this one, even though I guess the Chinese is different. Again, these are pretty good, but again, some questionable decisions. So we're just going to go through it the way I did it. He does have the plastic stat card, which is more the same rendered artwork we saw in the back of the box, as well as stats and the same bio. So we're not going to get into that. Let's just throw that out. And then let's get into the review itself. While we get started, if you are joining us live, you can go ahead and drop a question in the live Q&A. It should be somewhere over here. That way it's easy for me to see your comments and so forth. Otherwise, it's really hard to keep track. Usually in these Fans Toys live streams, we have about 100 or so folks. So it makes it very hard to keep up, especially when I'm actually doing the review and transformation. So if you have questions that you really want me to answer, drop them in the live stream Q&A. Similarly, I dropped a poll in to see, hey, which upcoming Devastator are you most excited about? We have, I don't know, like 6 of them, it feels like. But I could only put in like 4 options. So I put in Fans Toys, obviously, because we have it here, the X-Transbot one, and then the MMC, and then I put other for the lesser known. So opening this up, he does have the FT32A emblazoned on the styrofoam. He comes packaged in robot mode, which I'm sure a lot of Fans Toys fans appreciate. Sorry about the squeaking. He does come packaged with some plastic paint protector. He does have the accessory attached. Actually, mine was loose in box, but I went ahead and attached it when I put it back in. And sorry, give me a second here. He doesn't come with a lot of other accessories. The only thing he comes with is one gun and a trumpet, which is metal. Like, this is actual metal, not plastic, which is kind of cool. It feels kind of nice, nicely colored. Has some styrofoam stuck in here, nicely detailed. So it's pretty cool, and it even has the tabs for the hands, which is nice. And the other accessory that he has is his gun, which I barely remember the Constructicons using guns. So I'm sure they do. All right. So the first thing we'll do is make sure that you have certain things in place to make sure that you have your Gehry all nicely situated in robot mode. There are a couple things that I didn't get off the bat. One of the first things that you'll notice is there's like these sliding tabs. Hey, Alex B, how's it going? So I wasn't sure what these were for until later, but these are actually locking tabs because there's some weird forum mechanisms that are going on here. And this locks them into place so that they're really tight as is. So I don't know why they needed locks, but that's there. Also on the back, depending on how yours came in, yours might have had yours properly transformed. Again, mine wasn't, but this is the proper transformation for it. So it has this section here, which is a little flap for the front of the, I don't know, the scoopy thingy. Hey, Professor Soundwaves. And then there's a little hook here. So if yours didn't come with this setup, this piece like rotates around. Just make sure that you have the hooking tab here and this piece out here. All of this is die cast, I think. Oh, maybe, no, not this part. This part is not, but most of it is die cast. So this whole section here, this tab, and these sections. So really just these parts here are all die cast. But very, very heavy. It's actually going to play a critical role in the combiner mode more than anything else. Here, I don't know why they felt the need to add this, but if you really want to store it in both modes, you can. And again, what it does is basically hook onto here, and then this piece folds down and kind of softly holds it into place. It's very precariously situated, but either way, I don't see any of you actually doing this, so let's just get it out of the way. Just fold that back up, and what you can do is leave this down like this, or you can leave it up. I think officially you want to leave it down, and he does have quite a bit of a backpack. That's probably the worst thing about his robot mode. You see the wheels and everything like that. So I've said this many a times, when you have a combiner or triple change or something like that that has more than 2 modes, one of them is usually the weak one, right? And you would think that I might say the robot mode is, but because of the front and the other angles, this is probably my second favorite of the modes, even with all the kibble. But there are some other things that we'll talk about when we get into articulation, but let me just do a quick 360. He looks fantastic. He feels just great, just like every other Fans Toys figure does. Super hefty. We'll weigh him in a little bit. He does have die-cast toes and sections here to make him very stable at the bottom. He has nice rubber tires that spin. He has a really nice anime or cartoon accurate look to him. I mean, if you just didn't look at this and the butt wheels, he'd look great. Hey, the Titan. Yeah, he is a bit boxy, but again, it's supposed to be animation accurate. So his scoop is a little bit odd if you look at it, because when we traditionally see him, he has his full kind of whatever scoopy thing. This one's like narrow and sticks out quite far. So I don't love it, but again, if I ignore most of the backpack, the robot mode does look pretty stunning. The paint, fully painted everywhere essentially. This nice metallic purple, this metallic kind of like limey green. I didn't like it at first. I thought it was a little bit too yellowy, but it kind of grew on me. And depending on the light and how you hit it, it gets that G1 kind of look with some metallic look to it. Nice metallic red in the eyes and the face silver. Looks very much like Scrapper. The nice boxy head with the face mask. So he does have some nice details. The silver on here is all painted. Yeah, so even though the Constructicons typically are very like just purple and green, Incredible Hulk style, they did put some nice paint details to kind of break up the look a bit. Not as much paint separation as they usually see, but I guess just because Devastator's usually is just so much green. So, all right, so the first thing we'll do is actually do comparisons. I actually owe a comparison to Anthony Brown Jr. He paid for... Oh, that's so funny. I was going to say that I owed you one, so I was going to do this one for free, but he donated anyway. So here you get I got it for twice the price here. Thanks for the donation. Lamonster said the backpack's not that bad without the combiner piece. Yeah, I would say so normally, except the wheels. The wheels are what really bother me the most, I think, and this flap here. If it was just this and not this stuff down here, I would agree. Hey, Travis White, how's it going? But yeah, he's pretty close to head with Ocular Max's Springer. Let's see who else we have. We got to do Prime just because he's the standard. He's actually about head to head, a little bit tall, a little bit shorter, I think. Yeah, a little bit shorter. But he is much bulkier, as you can see. Obviously, you guys want to see him with Devastator, so I don't have all the Devastators in the world. I only have one, really. But here's one I can compare with. I think this is the Bulky Hero or something like that. I forget. It's just an action figure, which looks animation accurate, but obviously not to scale, the MP scale. I figured you guys would like to see it next to a Fans Toys combiner. So here's Superion, just to see. Obviously, I don't have him in the various modes, but you can kind of see how tall he comes up. He comes up to about the top of the knee joint here. For Superion. Oh, gosh, this thing's heavy. And the only Debbie that I have that's MP scale right now, MP-ish scale, is the Toy World one, which is oldie, but still a goodie. It's been my favorite. It's been a staple on my shelf for a long time. You can see how dusty it is because he's on the top shelf. Normally, you know, if I was doing a traditional review instead of a live stream, I'd do all the comparisons. But again, I'm not going back to the traditional reviews. But again, about the same, top of the knee here. I still love this figure, even though he is pretty old at this point. But maybe this guy will replace him. And I'm sure TM Reviews and T-Man will do much better comparisons than me. So check out their reviews, and I'm sure they'll do better poses and all sorts of comparisons to various figures that I do not have. So I don't have the X Transbots ones. I don't have any of the Combiner Wars one. I don't have the Unite Warriors. I don't have the what was that other one? Generation Toy. I don't have any of those. So unfortunately, that's all you get. Accessory wise, again, he does have this trumpet, so you can bend at the elbow. It does have tabs here, so you can just open that up, tab that in, and close the fingers around. You can go. It doesn't really work all that well, to be perfectly honest, but in terms of trying to recreate the look right in front, just because his hands don't really get into that position, but you get the idea. Same thing with the gun. The gun is nicely detailed. Has a weird kind of scopy thing at the bottom, which I never understood. I'm sure it's something else. But he holds it just fine. No issues with either hand for either of these accessories, which is nice. That's not always the case. I'm looking at you, FT Cyclonus, before the new parts came out. So I think that's it for robot mode in terms of comparisons and accessories. I did want to do a quick weighing before we started going into articulation and transformation. So give me a second while this zeroes out. So he is 1 pound 8 ounces, which is the equivalent of 678 grams. 678. There you go. Let me get my measuring tape out, and I'll get you a height on him as well. For those of you who want to be accurate with the height, it has no articulation. That's pretty savage. So he's about 9.5 inches tall, standing straight like so. But we will definitely talk about his articulation or lack thereof coming up next. So we got about 70 of you so far. So thanks for joining. If you guys like what I'm doing here, especially the live stream format, I think I'm one of the few people that do that. I don't actually know if anybody else does live stream Transformers reviews, but if you like that, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe. I always appreciate that. It gets me motivated. So going into articulation itself, we'll go from the top to the bottom. So he actually does have a decent amount of head up. They got the little angle cut out from the back of his helmet. The shovel can extend wider in bot mode too. Yeah, you can do it. I was just doing it for this, the official mode. So you can actually do that. Maybe we'll maybe have to show it off later, but you do have to make some things, make some adjustments to do that. Because one of the things here is that you have to extend the these weird telescoping pieces. But we're getting sidetracked here. But yes, you are correct. You can display it like that if you'd like. So he can look up. He can twist all the way around. It's on a mushroom peg, so no side to side or anything like that. He can't look down really at all. Coming to the shoulders, he has nice friction shoulders. Goes out to the side. They're pretty well toleranced, so I'm not really too worried about them being floppy. He does have a bicep swivel. And again, make sure to lock that upwards for robot mode and other modes. But He does have a elbow bend, single elbow bend, which goes pretty far, about, what is that, 135 degrees. Yeah, so depending on how you, no, yeah, 135. Sorry, trying to do my math here. His wrist is also on a mushroom, so it can swirl around. He has nice rounded robotic fingers. So all 5 of them are individually articulated with 2 pins at the base and 1 single knuckle joint. The thumb is on the ball peg that can swivel down, can rotate, and it has 1 pin joint at the base of the thumb, essentially. All right. He can do kind of this type of stuff. And just because some people will probably ask, he doesn't have really a true butterfly joint, but he does have kind of a outward joint here. That's for transformation, so you can make use of this in some ways. I'm sure it could be useful, especially if you hide it in some poses. So close that up. So here's where we're getting to the middle of the body, where this is where typical fans toys, especially when it comes to combiners, the waist rotation. He essentially has no waist rotation as designed in robot mode. So he can go that far, which is barely noticeable, maybe a couple of degrees at best, because it runs into this whole backpack assembly. So you can see just how little it goes. Yeah, I would guess not even 5 degrees side to each side. Later, when we do some transformation, I'll show that actually will go more if you get rid of all of the butt wheels and stuff like that, and basically explode his body. He can get about 15 or so degrees each way. But this, to me, is basically like just, I don't know, play in a single joint. Not actual, it doesn't feel like articulation at all. It's not meaningful. Like, can you really tell that I've rotated it all the way at this point? Unless you were really looking for it, you probably couldn't tell that it was rotated at all. The hip skirts come forward like this. You do want to be careful with these, especially depending on how you articulate, both in robot mode and combined mode, because they can get caught under these pieces on the hips themselves, and you can really end up messing up your figure. So just be careful. It also has weird types of offset hips, so you can see that even though the joint is here, it's actually connected on an offset one. This is to allow you to get a little bit more forward articulation. It does make it look a little bit funky from the side, but you see it from action figures all the time, so I don't hate it. It's just a choice that they made, so not a bad thing. It is die cast, as you can see. He does have some thigh swivel, which can go 360 if you get it around the collision points. He does have a single knee joint that comes out like this. He technically has, I think he technically has a second one. I'm trying to remember, for transformation. But again, this locked into place here for robot mode, so not really usable. Coming out to the side, he doesn't get a lot of side because he has these weird tabs, which are necessary only for alt mode. Yeah, so that's kind of disappointing. But then again, how often are you doing Van Damme splits with your figure? So probably not too bad. Let's see. Coming to the wheels, he has nice wheels. They spin and they're very silent. And again, nice rubber wheels. They do their wheels really well. And really nice tread design too. It's not just like boring stuff. It actually has like kind of a diagonal, not even just rectangle pattern. It's kind of weird that I noticed that, but yeah, I agree, T-Man. Like I said, you don't really need more than that. And he would know. He's pretty good with posing, I suppose. So we're going down to the lower leg. And this figure does feature one of the things I really hate about certain figures, where they do have like separate toe essentially and heel. So this heel part is stationary. So even if you want to do like toe down, you can't really make use of it that much because the heel still gets in the way. And I found that this heel piece, this spur, if you want to call it, doesn't support enough weight. So like even if you wanted to try to use it to keep it up, it doesn't really work. Luckily, to some degree, you have a screw here and you can try to tighten it. I've done it maybe like a quarter turn to try to tighten it for a couple of poses, like even just the thumbnail pose to get it to sit that way. it loosens up as screws will. So just be mindful of that. I really just hate that because you can't really easily do, say, the traditional like anime pose that easily with him, because you need to get his toes forward, and then he's so backpack heavy that these are typically pretty too weak to hold him up. But I'm sure you can manage. Just be careful not to strip the screw with it. But again, he looks totally fine. Just know that you have options there. But coming back to the toes, he does have a couple points of articulation. You can see that there is an ankle kind of pointer tilt, as well as another one in the toe itself. So you can get a lot of actual range on the toe, going down and going up. You can even get him to go all the way backwards like this. Very weird posing. And then he does have a rocker, like so. Which, again, if you get this out of the way, you can go 360 on. Not particularly useful, but I guess it's nice to know that you have it if you need it for some reason. Let me think. Did I forget any? Did I forget any joints? I did the thigh swivel. Yeah, so I don't really want to get into the details of how to do this because you kind of see how it works, but you can expand this out. Basically, the way it works is that you can see here these gaps. You can split these pieces as part of transformation and then get this thing wider. But I'm not going to go do that right now. I just wanted to explain, as somebody talked about earlier, you can make it work. Just know that's not the official transformation. So we're not going to do that here. All right. So before I go into any transformations, we're going to go ahead and take a pause here. I'm going to look at some questions and see how things are going in the Q&A section. Again, if you're live with us, you can see that on the right side. Let me see what we got here. Let's see. Sorry, give me a second. All right, so we only got a couple of questions. LaMonster says, does the paint pop as much as I think it does? It does pop. It like most Fans Toys paint, it does look quite nice. We already did how much does he weigh? What did I say? It was like 678 grams, which was like 1 pound something. I don't know. How comparable is he to Fans Toys Scourge in terms of paint? First impressions for me is that he is shining beautifully. What about you? He definitely shines beautifully. Again, just because of the paleness of the color, it doesn't pop as much as, say, like a vibrant blue, but it does look nice. The fingers are unpainted. Very nice catch there, McLuther G. Yes, the fingers are like one of the few parts that are not painted. You can see like the color difference here. I mean, it's subtle, but... All right, so those are the only questions I got in the Q&A. So again, we're going to go ahead and get through transformation, and we'll pause at the alt mode and then come back for combined mode. So those are the three modes we're going to go through. So we'll go through all three, stopping on the way back as well. So as usual, I'll do transformation both ways. Overall, the transformation is actually quite nice. Not super frustrating. I only got this guy today and only had to transform him a couple times before figuring it out. The first couple times you might be like, oh, this is kind of confusing, but he's not that bad at all, especially the lower legs. But there are a couple of things that I would do, which I'll show you, that'll make the legs even simpler and the whole process even simpler, especially if you're going through all three modes without having to do a lot of rework. Okay, so first thing we'll do is get this guy into alt mode. So what we'll do here is I just like to pop in the head first, just get it out of the way. So you want to pull up on this tab here, pull it forward, fold it back. It's kind of weird that it has a gap there. I've never seen that before. I don't know why they chose to do it that way, but then close that up. Now we're going to deal with the hands. So before I forget, come to the side here and pull these locking tabs down. Otherwise, you might break your finger. So just be very mindful. Up is locked, down is unlocked. So let's do that. Instead of a kind of a traditional flap that opens up downward, he actually has one that goes to the side. You want to keep his fist curled up like so. You want to rotate it that way. He has just enough clearance for the back of his hand to clear there. Close that and tab that up. One of the things that the instructions show for alt mode is that they pull this out. This is 100% only needed for combined mode, and it actually probably is slightly a hindrance in alt mode, so do not do that for this one. So that's completely wrong in both the video and the written instructions. Rotate the bicep 180, and this is where it gets interesting. So you'll see that there's like a joint here. What you end up doing is just pulling out on this, and then that's not even done. That's only one section. You'll see there's another tab. So you kind of accordion this out. And this is one of the areas which I don't like all that much, just because you're relying on these pins and not super thin, but pretty thin plastic, given how much force it requires. So anyway, just get these loose and we'll deal with it later. For now, we'll just pop out the shoulder joint like so. And just get it like this, and then we're going to keep working. So again, rotate at the bicep, 180, open up the flap, close this up, tab that back in, making sure that this tab is down. And you can tell there's a little nub there. You should be able to see that nub. That's when it's unlocked. You want to rotate and unlock it this way, and then you want to hold this piece and rotate it the opposite way. There we go. We want to untab the shoulder butterfly-ish joint, and we'll just get it out like this for now. Okay. All right, coming to the backpack, we'll just lift this up. Lift this up. This section, it has kind of like tabs here. I've never pushed them in too hard. They somewhat soft tab. They're fine. So just get this kind of down and out of the way for now. But you'll see this center rod here, and as we talked about before, with these gaps, you need to extend both of these armatures outwards this way. Mine on the left is a little bit hard to do, but basically just expand this out, and it should essentially line up with the gap that you see here. Oh, oddly enough, this time the left one came out easy. So you can see this now that these can free up and move forward and get out of the way. What we'll do is just finish up the shovel, and you can kind of see how this would work. So let's go ahead and pull this down, open this up, and you'll have a set of double hinges here. You kind of want to extend these up and actually outwards like that. So initially they were inwards like this. Now you're going to rotate them out. Sorry, they were like this, and now you want to double hinge them outwards like that. And then you can kind of finish the shovel here. There are a couple pieces. You want to flip this flap up. You want to bring this around as well. And these are on sliding joints. So this middle piece you want to slide down. And then you can tab in. So there's one tab here, and then a series of over-under tabs on either side. This side does not have this tab because it corresponds to this one. So do that first, making sure to slide the outside pieces all the way up, like so. For one of the configurations of the shovel, or whatever the front thing is called, you want to flip these out and then tab these in like so. So you can kind of see, if you wanted to do it this way, you could have the shovel more what I would consider G1-ish, but this shovel is really wide, probably too wide. So it's a mixed bag depending on how you want it. Do you want the thinner one that's more compact, or do you want the one that's fully exposed like this? There's also a couple of other ones here, and I forget, to be perfectly honest, which ones are supposed to be out for which configuration, because there's two quote-unquote configurations. One that's less jaggedy, I guess, like this. And then there's one that has like the alternating grooves. I like this configuration the best. But anyway, we'll show off the alternating configuration once we actually get into the full alt mode. So sorry for that diversion. So again, bring this all the way forward after you've extended these all the way out. From here, you can bring this piece back. Let's just lift this up for now. And then we're going to start dealing with the midsection here. So the midsection, how that works is this, whatever cover piece, is actually tabbed in to the wheels. So it's easiest to kind of show you this way. You can just pull it out, but if you want to be a little bit safer, you can push in on one side and release it, and then push in on the other side and release it. And you can see that these tabs, it kind of goes into this tab here. So pull this back. Oops, sorry. Pull this back. You're going to want to bring the wheel forward a bit to get a better grab of it. And then you're going to rotate all the way around on this piece. It's going to come 180 all the way down. The wheel is going to rotate up and back. And it has the most interesting tabbing mechanism I've seen. So it actually kind of like hooks in to the side here. You can see in this purple section, there's a tab slot. It comes back and you want to push in a bit and then rotate it forward. Hold this piece in place so it doesn't like rotate all over. Push this forward and that locks there. And then the front behind the wheels, you want to tab that into these slots on the side. So give it a tight push and that locks in securely. So same thing on the side, pull this out, rotate this around. You can see that they cut out right there just to give you a little bit of clearance, perfect clearance to get around the backpack section. Bring this around, rotate this back, and then push it in from the rear. And then tab this in. So there's that section. This piece just flops around until you get the arms in place. So, all right. With that out of the way, we're actually going to get to the most complicated part, which is not even that complicated, but it is very finicky on how you do this. So you essentially need to get the arms so that these shoulders will go in this gap here. And then you're going to use the 90-degree elbow bend. That's why we rotated the bicep swivel 90 degrees. You need to get the arms right above here and into this cavity there. The trick is that you want to kind of get that into place first. So you want to try to get kind of 90 degrees at the shoulders here, as close to as possible, kind of at this angle. And the second trick is there's a couple of hinges here. So you want to use the one closest to the body, and you want to rotate that one all the way up. So don't rotate just at this joint here where you can see the pin. You want to rotate at this one inside. So you want to get this as close to horizontal as possible. You want to get the elbow to close to as 90 degrees as possible before you get it in, and just get this piece kind of extended out as far as you can just to not collide with the body. So the reason why you want to get this piece, the shoulder, as close to 90 degrees as possible is because it will run into this piece otherwise. So if you go in like this, you can see I can't easily push down afterwards. So you want to push here. You want to make sure you're pushing in at this swivel joint, and you'll see that there's a peg hole right there that will connect on the inside. So all that is to say, I'm making it more complicated than it really is. You just need to prep it in, rotate it in, and then push here to get it locked in. And then you might have to push up from the forearm to get that in, like so. And that's really it. So it's not as complicated as it seems. Just be careful of this piece. This is one of the flimsy pieces. You can see it kind of flopping around. It purposely has a lot of play because people who are not careful are probably going to run into this a lot, and it is finished plastic that could pretty easily break. So doing it a little bit faster, get it to 90 degrees at the elbow bend. You want to get this situated like so. Get the shoulder as close to horizontal as possible, and then remembering not to rotate at this pin, rotate all the way at this lower joint here, so that when you rotate it in, everything clears. It tabs in up here just fine. Just give it a squeeze. Push up on the forearm a bit. There we go. And I just give it another squeeze here to close up the gap. That's it. It's not super complicated. It's just the first time you do it, it's just the trick is to make sure that you have the arms kind of in place and rotate at this base joint. With that, the rest of it's pretty simple. You're going to bring this down and back like so. You're going to bring this cover up. Originally it was like this, low on this joint, but now you want to bring it up and high at this joint. All right. A weird accent every time Henry says doing. I don't know. Maybe I do have an accent. So coming to the lower legs here, another thing that I'm going to do that's a little bit different is, QC sticker number 32 for me. So they just kind of start opening things up here. It makes it very difficult if you do it that way because the wheel gets in the way and you have to transform the wheel anyway. So it makes more sense for me. So the whole wheel assembly is on this rotating piece here, this rotating piece. So just push in, rotate 90 degrees downward for the wheel. And you can see that there's two tabs here. Tab that into place first. If you do that first, then you can actually open up this outer section a bit easier without any, sorry, I'm trying to get behind here, without it running into the wheel. So if you try to do it here without rotating the wheel first, you run into the wheel, which is pointless because you need to open this door. So do this first, and you have to transform this anyway. So go ahead and transform the wheel first. Open this up. Once you're here, you want to open up this entire back. Flip this one panel out like so. Then, before I forget, make sure to slide the thigh in as one of those weird inner sliding things. So once you're here, we're going to deal with the toe. And then the toe is really the only thing you have to do before you just have a basic transformation. So you want to flip this up, bring this down. You want to rotate it to outwards. You want to rotate it up. And then this piece will flip 180 and come against here, like so. That also seems much more complicated than it is. It's really pretty simple. So once you have that done, all you do is rotate not at the robot mode knee joint, but at this one that was locked into place, this lower knee joint. So make sure that this knee joint is not used at all. You're just using this lower joint here. Rotate it around 180. Once you get that down, you want to bring this towards closure, but you want to make sure that you rotate this piece up first because it needs to tab in behind here. This bumper piece, depending on how tight yours is, may be flipped up like that. Just make sure it's flipped to the back like any other bumper. So tab this piece in first and then close the door behind it, and then that is the leg done. Very easy. So same thing on this side. Thigh pushes in. We're going to untab the wheel first, rotate it 90 degrees downward, tab it back in, open up this door, open up the back of the leg, bring out this back piece here. Now we're going to deal with the toe. Bring the heel up, bring the toe down, rotate it outwards, flip the toe up, and then rotate this heel piece 180 until it goes into this gap here, like so. All right. Then we just go ahead and rotate at that lower knee joint that was hidden before. Flip that all the way around. When you start closing up, just make sure that this bumper, see this side, the bumper doesn't auto kind of transform when I flip this around. So just close this up, making sure that this tab goes here and here. And then close the door. Then you have the two halves. Just tab them together, like so. And then the last piece are the arm pieces that we didn't deal with before. You see there's a long tab here that was preventing some hip articulation, outward articulation, and this one tab on the outside of the arm. You just go ahead and tab that in to the side like that. And like that. And then you can arrange this front piece as you'd like. But with that, you have Gehry in his alt mode. And this is easily my least favorite. it looks like a mess here, especially this front section. I think it was supposed to be some kind of cat. Um, I don't even know what they're called, excavator or something like that. But whatever it is, it doesn't look like the G1 toy all that much. This front section here, it doesn't look like the animation. It just looks really front heavy. I also don't know what this is. I don't know if this is supposed to be a front protecting cover that's always been there. I didn't see it on any of the supposed real life vehicle modes of this, but I guess they've taken some liberty. This is easily the worst of the 3 modes. It looks pretty awful. This is all gappy here. There isn't a lot of articulation on this thing. So there's this piece that goes down here, goes up there. And then here you have another piece that will tilt a little bit down like this. Well, actually not a little bit. And then up like that. But I'm used to having like at least three joints with a scrapper on here. There's really no other articulation, I guess, unless you want to talk about these pieces and these pieces. But again, not super meaningful. He does have weapon storage. So you use this tab on the inside of the gun. And you tab it in here. Like that. I guess it's supposed to be an exhaust pipe, which I guess works. I don't know if that's accurate. I thought there was supposed to be actually a vertical one here, but yeah, and then like the toes are here. Like this mode definitely is easily the worst of the 3, at least in my opinion. As far as the alternate configuration here for the front is you can go ahead and pull this up. You can flip these down. You can bring this piece up. Like I said, I don't remember the details of this one, but you can really do whatever you want with these weird pieces in the front. Ow, if you can get these out. But the key is you flip this piece in, these tip pieces in, and then you fold this in like that. And then you have kind of an alternate shovel piece here. I don't really know what that's for. Maybe because it was shown differently in a couple episodes. I don't know. I think it's nice that they have it, but I'm never going to use it this way. The one thing I mentioned before is that these pieces are a little floppy and not totally secure. And this is probably the only area of concern it's as far as combined mode as well, because the combined mode is super solid. But I guess I have to talk about this piece, this dumb piece here. So this piece, if you want storage, what you need to do is you want to close up this flap here that was hooking on to the backpack. You want to bring this piece all the way pointing down forward. And you kind of want to bring this piece kind of like this. I don't even know exactly how it works. But what you're supposed to do is basically get it into this gap here where somebody would sit. As long as it fits in here, it's fine. And then there's 2 peg holes there that aligned. There we go. And then you want to push this in, and there's even a couple of slots here so that when you push this back, you can get it to sit vertically correctly without any collision. Again, why you would want this is beyond me, but I guess it's nice that they designed it to have some kind of storage. I guess they couldn't make it into a terrible flight stand, so they decided to do this instead. So he does roll quite nicely. And he looks great in terms of, you know, paint, but it just looks like a bunch of messed up pieces just put together. It looks really weird. Doesn't look like a real vehicle. It just has lots of weird details and stuff like that. All right, so let me pause here and let me see if there are any questions for alt mode. All right, let's see. McLure says, can you see the screaming face on his left chest? Because once you see it, you can't unsee. Oh, man. Screaming. Yeah. It looks like an emoji, like robotic screaming face. That is true. That is true. Now we can't unsee it. You're welcome, everyone. You can thank McLure for that. I'm surprised you guys aren't. You probably are asking more questions in the chat, but again, I can't see those very easily, and they scroll by pretty quickly. So if you really want a question answered, you got to use um, the Q&A section. The Titan says brick bot mode and brick with wheels in alt mode. Yeah, like Muppet Beaker. Yeah, Texas Beast. That is highly accurate. Muppet Beaker. That is. Let's see. Reading the Parting Death says MMC wins alt mode but loses in the combined scale as always. Hey, bots and bits. Famous Toys hacked Henry. Let's see here. Oh, sorry. Did the screen freeze? I don't even know. Let me check my own stream here. Seems to be working. Oh, screen isn't frozen. I just was not doing anything. Sorry about that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into combine mode. So first, we got to kind of bring this back. I actually don't know if you actually need this. Yeah, we do. So we do need this back into the other configuration for combine mode. So let's get this out. We'll just open up these pieces. For now, let's just leave it like that. Bring these like that, because I like this one, kind of like the even jagged pieces that are coming out. I don't even know what they're called. The teeth, I guess. All right, so after doing a little bit of thinking and playing around with this, I realized you can save yourself a lot of trouble because there's only a little bit that you need to transform in the back. And the easiest way to do that is to actually make use of the hip joint. So let's see here. We're going to untab these arm pieces. That's really the only piece you need to get untabbed. And from here, we're going to again, make sure that you flip these hip skirts up, because when you do this, you don't want to make sure that they run into anything. So let's go ahead and open up like that. What you need to do is just basically get the wheels tucked inside and then remove this piece to the back. So to do that, we just go ahead and untab both halves. We're going to open these side pieces. We're going to bring this piece down, and you can see there's a big tab there. You basically want to fold it flush on itself, making sure that the bumper is rotated this way. We want to unpeg the wheel, and then we kind of want to rotate it about 45 degrees to the back. So it was straight down. You want to rotate it back. Rotate it in like so. Close everything back up. That's all you need to do to get into the combine mode for the rear. So same thing on this side. We want to open this up. We want to open this, get this folded in on itself. It does tab in. We want to untab the wheel here from these two tabs, rotate it back about 45 degrees, and then rotate this in like so. Close it back up here, close it back up there, fold the two halves together, and that's all you really need to do for the rear. Very easy if you make use of that. Oh, the other thing, you know what? I never even checked, but there is actually this joint here that you use for combine mode. I wonder if this is actually accessible in robot mode as kind of a ab crunch. I need to check that. Oh, sorry. Is something wrong? Is still frozen? Give me a second here. Sorry, are we back? Sorry, people seem to be complaining that it was frozen, so I tried to switch to another network. I have a couple networks in my house, so I wanted to see if this one was slightly better or not. I think we're connected. Okay, he says we're back. All right, cool. All right, sorry about that. So that's all you have to do for the back. From here, we do have to do some stuff with the mid body. So let's go ahead and bring this forward. We want to rotate this piece back, and we have to start dealing with the arms. So we have to basically get the arms almost back into robot mode. And to do that, we have to untransform this section here. Oh, sorry, and we have to get the wheels in. So the easiest way that I found to get this done is basically just pull here on the inside of the arms. I found that that's the easiest. So kind of get this here. Just want to kind of pull back this way, and it will start releasing basically everything. So I would be very wary of pulling up here just because there's going to be some rubbing. Try to pull up, and again, make use of this outside joint first, like so. So showing it again, try to come up right where the shoulder is and pull outwards. And then start rotating this around like that. All right, so I lied a little bit, so let's, I don't actually know if we have to ab crunch again, but let's just do it just so we can try. So from here, we need to get the wheels back in. So we want to untab up here. Again, be careful because these are on pins, and you have to pull out to the side. And these can be a little bit tight, so just be careful not to just yank it out because you could easily break off this pin here. You want to pull back to release this tab, and then you want to rotate forward. Okay, so don't rotate backwards because you can't do that. Rotate forward. And once you're here, you're going to pull back on this to get back around and in. Same thing on this side. So pull back on the wheel, rotate it forward, rotate at this armature here to get it around and in. Oops, before we close it all the way up, because I always forget, they have this weird piece that's on the underside of the cab cover, whatever it is. You need to pull that out. I always forget every single time. But now you can pull the wheels in. You can straighten out the hip joint, and you can pull forward again so that this tab locks in that we talked about when we transformed the first time. But the only difference is this piece needs to come in underneath this piece here. But before we do that, we need to open this piece up, and we have to open up this double hinge joint. So this rectangular piece that was inside the body needs to clear and come out like so. Okay? And we close this up. Get this piece underneath, and then push it forward. Come on. This tab is not locking. There we go. So these tabs have to lock in again. Like so. All right, so that is the lower body. Done. This piece, you're going to telescope this in on this rail. And then you'll see that there's two tabs here that tab in with this, like so. The arms are pretty simple. We're just going to close up these pieces on the forearms that we did before. So close this, rotate this around until it locks into place. You'll see that this tab here goes in. Just be careful again because they're on fairly thin pieces and it's only secured with pins. Close this back up. Oh, if you're having trouble closing this up, it's because this locking mechanism slid down. So make sure it's all the way up. Close it up, and then we'll lock that back into place. Straighten the arm out. And then we do need to make sure that when we close this up, we have these tabs facing the outside. The only difference here is when we close this shoulder joint is that you don't want to use as much of the base one. You want to have this piece kind of pointing out straight and not all the way back like we did before. So you won't get into the space. So you make sure that this first joint is 90 degrees and then rotate this one 90 degrees like so. Same thing on the other side here. So we just want to close up these joints. Close this one up. Close this one up, making sure that the locking tab is down, then up to lock that into place. Rotate this up like so, making use of this pin joint to go in like that, and then rotate the bicep 90 degrees. Sorry, let me scooch up a bit. And now we're pretty close to done. The last couple of things we need to do are really mostly having to do with this thing here. So this thing, you're going to push out on this piece, making sure that this isn't in the way, this latching piece. You can kind of get that out of the way. You want to get this extended pretty far forward. It's more of an art than a science. And then the other piece that we need to get out is this piece here, this I-beam kind of piece. So how this works is this is how it's going to look. These arms are going to fit into this section, but I like doing that last. These tabs are going to go into these slots here. Oh, sorry, not like that, like this. And then this almost scooping looking thing is going to go between the arm, between these arms here and between the actual robot arms. And of course, because I forgot to rotate these out, but that's easy. Those tabs that I said that they said to use in alt mode, which aren't of any use in alt mode, you want to pull these out and push this forward. That scooping piece, these notches are going to lock into here and form kind of a solid piece. So that's what we kind of need to do. There's a lot of moving parts here in terms of alignment, and then these two tabs here also need to lock into this section. So we'll try to get this all done nice and neatly, but basically get this scoop in here and between the arms. These two semicircular cutouts need to go into these gaps. And then this I-beam piece will go right here. So you can see it kind of goes in like this. So let's get in like that. And it's going to go straight in. So again, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So with that in place, I don't want to push this all the way in because it makes it very hard to get these pieces in. So I kind of want to get all these kind of aligned. The I-beam piece, these hooking pieces, and these tabs that go into this circular piece. I like to get all those aligned first. Once I do, I give it a push to get these sitting kind of flush. These pieces, you need to extend the scoop, and it'll give you a little bit of room so that you can peg in this piece and this piece, like so. And then you'll collapse these back in. This piece will come back and down, and you want to push this in, and you can see it forms a nice flush section here. And then lastly, this is the easiest part. You want to get these pieces 90 degrees, and it has peg holes that correspond. So you want to get this peg hole in, then just close up this section here. Same thing on this side. Get the peg holes aligned. Like so. Then go ahead and bring these flaps out and tab them in like you did with that original alt mode configuration here. So if you have everything done, the arm should be vertical. These pieces should sit right up against these pieces here. This should be tabbed. This should be solid like so. And we have a super solid Devastator leg. Like this is the most solid combiner leg I think I've seen and felt. Like this feels solid. The only piece again that feels a little flimsy, honestly, are these pieces here, just really the centerpiece, just because it's on a telescoping joint and they're held by just a couple of over-under tabs. That being said, because this is die cast and this is all locked in with this, all that, This feels super, super solid, and it looks really good. It's quite tall. I'll bring out the combiner bots again so you can see how the legs look. So this makes up basically all of the leg up to the thigh area, most of the thigh. And it looks phenomenal. It looks accurate. Yeah, this is my favorite mode. It just feels rock solid, which is what you want in a combiner. It does have some articulation as well. You guys probably saw it in the photos. So it has a knee joint. Be careful again with these flaps here because they will run into it. So you kind of want to have it pointed between the silver and gray, that kind of corner there. So it has a knee joint that is using the hip joints for scrapper, but it has another articulation point here, which again, I don't know if this is actually accessible for robot mode. I never checked, and it actually goes more than 90 degrees. But when we get to robot mode, remind me to check this because I'm trying to think, is there anything that would restrict the lower body from being able to use this kind of ab crunch? I don't think so. So when we go back to robot mode, I'll have to check. But that is really, really tight. In addition to that, he does actually have ankle tilt. It's really, really high. And it's a joint that I was like, where does this come from? Because I don't know where it would normally come from. But you can see there's a cut here. It has an ankle tilt like that. It's very high, like you would normally think it ankles here, but because of the way this is designed, it does have an ankle tilt like so. So when you bend it, try to get these pieces not marred up. Like this is holding solid in this position. No issues. Oh, hold on. I pushed that one a little too hard. But like it's standing by itself, off balance, centered, without being connected to the rest of the body. Like that is pretty impressive to me for a combiner joint. I was hoping there would be some use of like ankle tilting or something like that, or twisting, but there's nothing like that, unfortunately. And just be careful. It is very tight clearances on this ankle joint with a couple of pieces here. You can see that tab here as well. But it does lock. It seems like there's 2 ratchet points. 1, 2. 1, 2, and then closed. But yeah, that's super impressive. I really like that. I think they did a really good job. And again, this is probably why it's my my favorite of the 3 modes. All right, so let me bring out a couple of combiners just so you can see how it stacks up. First up is their Superion, just so you can get a comparison with one of their own legs. Oh, sorry, my lights are kind of low right now. So you can see this makes up most of the thigh. So with the attachments, which I'm not really clear on how it's going to attach aside from probably something connecting here. There's probably some tabbing that goes on here. But I'm trying to figure out where else it's going to tab into secure. And I guess this rail, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be like a T-rail in the similar way that they had one here, where it's going to connect from the back and slide in and then lock in to the front here. That's probably how it's going to work. So there's that. Bringing out Toy World Devastator as well, just so you can see again how he stacks up in terms of height. I'll actually bring him to this side. So you can see it's pretty close in height to the Toy World one, up to the top of the thigh-ish area. All right. And then one figure that I actually had somebody request, a friend of mine request, just because they are seen together, I guess, is Omega Supreme. So I'm gonna bring out my DX9 one. Give me a second. Oh, son of a gun. I'm hurting myself for you guys. I have a rotator cuff injury, and these guys are on the top of my shelf. And I'm actually going through physical therapy 3 times a week to get it treated. But for you guys, I'm putting myself through additional pain. So you can see how high he comes up to the thigh of DX9 Omega. There's no blood yet, but there is pain. My shoulder is killing me. All right. I also realized that I didn't do any comparisons in alt mode, so when we go to alt mode, I guess I'll show off streak really quick. Oh, I'm gonna have to put this up later. Oh, my shoulder's killing me. All right. Thanks, Reincarnated. Hey, Solus, do you want me to come off the bench as injury relief? Yeah, if you want. All right, so that's it for his leg mode. And then so we'll go ahead and quickly go through the reverse, and then we'll finish off. So first things first is let's go ahead and disconnect the shovel pieces at the arm. Again, what we just need to do is bring these pieces up 90 degrees to release one side of the peg, and then release the other side of the peg. Kind of just get this out of the way for now. I guess while we're here, we can just go ahead and make it the shovel piece. Folding these pieces out and tabbing them in. All right. Next, we'll pull forward on this kind of scoopy looking piece here. And then we got to open up these locks here. So again, extending out these pieces here, these double hinges will give you just enough room to release, and then we can recollapse them in. And then lastly, we need to get this whole piece pulled out towards the front of the body. There's a couple tabs here. So there's the hooks here, the tabs here, and then the I-beam piece here. So just try to hold it securely or push like so. Get this piece cleared. Fold this up. For alt mode, we're going to go like this-ish, something like this. We're not going to put this back, but just to show you that. All right. I'm just going to deal with the legs first because all this stuff kind of gets in the way. So let's go ahead and rotate this down. We do want to split the legs just to make it a little bit easier. Split the legs. We want to open up this panel. Oops, let me scooch down a bit. Open up this side panel here. Untab this section, and we're going to bring it back to the rear. You want to open this up just so you can get the wheel out. Make sure it's rotated down, and these two tabs will tab in like so. Close this up. Close this up, get the bumper in the correct position. Close that, so we're done with that side. Same thing on the other side. Open up this door, open this up, rotate it around, rotate the wheel so it's 90 degrees downwards and tabbed in. We're going to close this up, and close that up. Get the two halves tabbed together. We're going to untab this piece. We're going to rotate back on the cover, whatever that thing is called, the canopy. We're going to pull out the wheel. Flip this piece in. I'm going to go ahead and straighten out the lower body. And then we're going to get these wheels tabbed in. Coming in from the back and then tabbing at the front. Rotating, tabbing in from the back and then tabbing at the front up here. Now we got to deal with the arms. So we can fold these up. Rotate the bicep 90 degrees. You want to lower the locking tab here. Open and open. Same thing on this side. Rotate 90 degrees. Unlock the tab here. Rotate open and then rotate. Rotate open. We do need to get this collapsed in, so pull back on this. Rotate all of this into the main body. Fold this back up, and you'll see there's like a tab here that tabs in from the top. Rotate this piece back. And now we'll go ahead and put the arms in. So as we did before, kind of get into place, making that 90-degree elbow bend. Making sure that this is already as close to horizontal with the ground as possible. Making sure that we're using this rotational joint at the closest to the body. To get everything in. Same thing on this side. Get that elbow at 90 degrees. Get this down like so. And then use this rotational joint at the closest part to the body. Get that in. Give these a little push. Give these a squeeze so that they tab into this peg here. Straighten out the lower body if it came undone. Get this piece down. Get this canopy straight up. Tab in the arms into the thighs. Oops. Sorry, this form didn't go in all the way. I didn't give it. There we go. Sorry about that. Tabs that in. Bring this piece back. And we're in alt mode. Since I forgot before, let me just do a quick comparison with Streak and MP Car. You can see he's about more than 1.5, almost 2 streaks long. In terms of width, he's about a streak and a half wide and several streaks tall, 2.5 maybe streaks tall. So there we are in alt mode, and let's just get to robot mode now. And then we'll finish off the review after I take a look to see if I can actually use that ab crunch in robot mode. I should have checked that before, but I didn't even think about it until now. All right, so what do we want to do first? I guess let's deal with the legs just so we can finish off with the head reveal. It doesn't really matter because they're both pretty independent. We do need to get rid of these arm tabs first. That is one thing that you need to do regardless. We'll go ahead and do that ab crunch or lower ab crunch or whatever that thing is. I'm going to go ahead and open this door here. Open this up. We're just going to unfurl the legs at the knee joint like so. Make sure that this goes in, that this bumper goes up to the back. Before we close that up, let's deal with the heel and the foot. So we want to rotate this 180, coming back like so. rotate, rotate, and basically just get it into the right position as before. It's very intuitive. So we'll close this up, and then don't forget that we had to rotate the wheel 90 degrees downward. And now it has one tab so that it sits in the right position. Thigh slides outwards, and we're done with one leg, and then we'll repeat more quickly on the other side. So opening this up, pull this out, straighten out the leg. We're going to get the heel rotated around like so. Straighten out the foot so it's in the correct orientation. Fold in this piece, get the bumper on the back. We're going to close this up, and then rotate the wheel 90 degrees downward. Tab that in. Slide the thigh outwards, and the lower leg is done. All right, let's finish the upper body. So as I mentioned before, the easiest way in my mind to get these arms out is just to pull out at the shoulders here. Just pull out slightly to get it started. And once you get it started, the arms will just come out. Just pull at the lower arms as well, the forearms. Like so. Just get these out of the way. Now we got to get the wheels back in here. So untab at the front. Untab here. Rotate it forward. And then using this joint here, rotate this all the way back. Same thing on this side. Untab here, pull back, rotate this around. You want to get the wheels down like so, and then using these two tabs on either side, get the canopy rotated at the higher joint to make his kind of butt plate for his butt wheels. Like so. All right. Now we're basically done. We just have to deal with the scoop. Again, depending on how you like the scoop, you can actually kind of leave it like this if you'd like. How about we do that? How about we leave it like this just to show you what it looks like with a bigger scoop in full robot mode, and you guys kind of get the idea of how to collapse it anyway. Well, I guess I'll do both. All right, let's go ahead and close this up. Close up the arms. Lock this by sliding it up. Open up the arm panel that hides the fist. Close that up. Straighten out the arm. Lock this into the main body. Rotate at the bicep to get the fist facing the correct way. Same thing on this side. We're just going to close all these up. Basically accordion everything closed. Once that's done, slide this locking tab up. Open up the panel on the back of the forearm. Then rotate out the fist. Tab that in. Tab into the main body. Rotate at the bicep. We got scrapper basically done. We do want to pull forward on the chest piece to get the head out. Close that back up, and there is a hooking tab that goes on top there. And with that, we have scrapper in his kind of alternate bigger scoop backpack if you want that. That, I think, is probably a little bit worse just because it is even wider, but you might like that look, so you have that option. So the one thing I wanted to see and check is if I can make use of that extra knee joint as an ab crunch. So I gotta imagine you should be able to. I don't see anything that would be blocking it. Maybe not. Maybe the wheels block it. Oh, no, you can. Yeah, you can. All right, so I did it. It just takes a little bit of strength to do so, but you can make use of that. So he has kind of like a ab crunch here. So the legs are straight, but you can see he is tilted kind of in a sound wave lamppost mode. So he does have ab crunch, which is nice. I'm glad that I caught that through this review. Oh, and one thing I did want to show off a bit Man, this is actually really hard to use though, because it's such a tight joint that getting it back into place is tough. So I did want to show that he does have more articulation at the waist. It's just that these wheels get in the way. So if I get the wheels completely out of the way, you'll see that he actually has like maybe 15 degrees of waist swivel, like where you can see this screw completely. Like when I lock the wheels in place, you cannot. Oh, sorry about that. My gimbal ran out of battery. Give me a second. I'm plugging it in. Crap. My gimbal needs to charge, even though it's plugged in. All right, so I don't know how I'm going to do this one-handed. All right, well, we're going to have to finish off the review early because I'm holding the camera with one hand at this point, and it's going to be very shaky and probably going to start getting people sick. I need an Inquisitor comparison. LeMonster, I would love to do that for you, but like I said, my gimbal, like if I let go of the camera, we're going like, woo, like that. So, and my gimbal is charging right now. I don't know why I can't use it while it's plugged in. So let me take that as a let me take that as an offline request. I'll go ahead and get that for you as a post. I'll do that as a community post. I won't be able to transform the backpack to the regular orientation either, but you guys get the idea. All you have to do is fold this up and collapse those pieces in. Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I thought I had plenty of battery. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay. Sorry, we're back. Sorry, I guess it just needed a little bit of charge. All right, so let's finish off this quick. So fold these in. Fold these in. We're going to untab these pieces here. And then we have to slide these down on the telescoping pieces and fold them in. This piece will fold down. While we do that, we want to make sure that when we collapse these, that these holes go into this tube and that these telescoping pieces on either side get collapsed as well. Like that, like that. The two halves will tab together. This piece comes up and sits like so. It does have some soft tabs. And then this will fold down like, oh, making sure that these double hinges are locked inwards. Fold down like that. And there we have him back in the correct robot mode with his scoop a little bit more compact. So whatever way you want, you can do it. Let's see here. Oh, thanks TM for the $5. Obviously, you don't need to do that. Let me see what other questions we had before I do the comparison that I owe LeMonster here. So give me a second. Questions. Do we have any other questions? Why is there a joint in the middle of what would be the shin? Oh, sorry. He said, you can ignore my question. You already covered it. Glory to G says, did you remember to check to see if the combiner ankle tilt and knee bend are usable in robot? We did cover that. LeMonster also asked, how would you classify the transformation experience? It seems very intuitive, dare I say easy. So I think after you do it a couple times, especially if you do it kind of in the order I do it, so you have less collisions and less back and forth. The biggest challenge, not problem, are like the arms. And really, that's it. Everything else is just kind of sequencing. The legs are super easy. the combined mode, the hardest part is just making sure that you get everything aligned with the I-beam, the tabs that go here, and these tabs here. I actually think it's pretty enjoyable. I've done it a number of times. The only places where I'm a little bit concerned are like the thinner pieces that are on like the wheels and that hold the arms together, and that this piece here in the center. This piece, just because if you run into it, like you can see how wobbly it is, and it's thinner plastic, so just be careful on that one. But overall, I liked the experience. I actually thought it was pretty interesting. I guess that's the word I would use for some of the choices that they made, like the wheels, like tab in from the back, these kind of things with the I-beam and stuff like that. So, what is a super on live stream? A super on live stream is like a donation, but again, I really don't really request that from folks. If you guys want to donate to show your support, that's great, but don't feel the need to ever do that. Some people donate just if they want to see a specific comparison. So I owe an Inquisitor comparison right now. Before I go off and do that, I did ask the live folks which Devastator that they're most interested in. Fans Toys squeaked out the competition with 61% of the vote. I don't know why it's not showing me the rest, though. Give me a second here. Oh, yeah, X-Transbot's got 16%. Wow, beating out Ocular Max at only 14%. And then 7% actually want something else like Vectron Labs or Dreamstar or maybe something else. Again, there are a bunch of them that are coming out. So give me 1 second to get Inquisitor. I got to remember where he is. Oh, I see him. Inquisitor is Scourge, right? Am I? Third-party names sometimes get me, so I'm hoping. Oh, sorry, I don't have his metal toe out. Oh, he'll be fine. So hopefully that works for you, LaMonster. Yeah, the Titan, the pull never adds up to 100. I don't know why. Thanks for the new gimbal. The gimbal works fine. I just didn't think to charge it. And then TM says, make him dance. All right. Make him dance. Let's have him dance with his trumpet, I guess, just because we didn't really use this. Oh, the tab came out. It's funny that they used that kind of, for the official video, they used that saxophone that is kind of gone viral for the squirrel doing it, like dun 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 dun. Okay, so I'm not really good at singing or fake saxophone, but you get the idea. Let's see. But yeah, I'm really excited about this figure, not just for the figure itself, but really the leg mode, because this leg mode is super solid, and it gives me high confidence that the rest will follow suit. I did not buy the Superion, the aerial bots. Like the ones I have are store copies that Toy Dojo wanted me to review, because after the first one, I did not have confidence. And even now, even though he's pretty solid as a combiner, there are things about like the combine mode on the Superion that I don't love, like things not locking into place. That is not the case with this guy here. He is locked in combine mode. So I have a lot more confidence that this guy is going to be much more solid in terms of the combine mode. So I'm really mostly excited about that with this figure than anything else. Scrapper is my favorite of the Constructicons. I feel like he just tends to be for most folks, just he's kind of the leader. But yeah, that's what I'm most excited about. This is my copy. I'm planning to buy the rest unless something with a future release goes terribly awry. I'm going to be happy to potentially have Toy World Devastator come off his throne as my MP Devastator of choice. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. I know it was a long one. We had to go through 3 modes and sorry, had some technical issues, but hopefully the instructions also were a little bit clearer for you. I tried to make them as simple as possible. That sometimes makes it a little bit longer because I try to go through specific details. So I apologize for that. Thanks to everyone who donated. Let me see who donated. Anthony Brown Jr., La Monster, TM Reviews, Thang the Win. Thank you all for donating. You guys are regulars here. I always try to show my appreciation, especially on the chatter days, which we just did one this past Saturday on the Transformers 1 movie. So if you haven't seen that, we discussed that this past Saturday with a couple folks. Long story short, we all loved it. We all thought it was a big win, but the big takeaway is it's not doing all that well in terms of money. So if you haven't seen it, we highly suggest you do. Try to keep the franchise alive. We would love to see sequels, and we even talked about some potential ideas for a sequel. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so. I will be back with a couple of other reviews, hopefully this week, but this week is super busy for me with work and personal stuff. But I just got Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime from Toy Dojo. They got some early shipments in, so if you're looking for that figure, Toy Dojo has it available right now on their site. So go ahead and click that. You can also order this guy, Gehry, from their site as well. So I do think $200 is a lot, but I think it's pretty much the standard now for Fans Toys figures. For a combiner, again, I like what we're seeing here. Even though he doesn't have a ton of accessories, I think the quality is there, and the fact that he doesn't need to have a bunch of combiner pieces that will come with the last figure, fingers crossed, like we did with Superion, makes me think that we'll at least know what we're getting into with these 6 figures at $200-ish a piece. No last figure being like $400. Let's see. One quick look at some of the live chat to see if I've missed any questions. Thanks, Mr. Wolf says, awesome as always. Professor Soundwaves, thank you. Titan says, thank you. Very concerned about the friction knee and weight. Oh, man, I really am not. The knee friction was really, really tight. I'm more concerned about the hips, to be perfectly honest, just because supporting a 1.5 pounds or whatever this was, that is a more concern for me. But then again, you're probably not going to be doing a lot of leg raises with a combined figure anyway. But I do want to make sure that the hips are secure. That's more of my concern. What I saw here with the ankle tilt and the knee joints here does not have me concerned about this figure's legs. But that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for supporting me, for the 100 of you that were here. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. As always, we'll see you next time. Have a good one, all.